Welcome to the Board Game Network. This is James. I'm going to be explaining how to play this game called Champions of Midgard. This game was nominated for an Origins Award in the board game category, and the announcement on who the winner is tonight while I'm filming this, so I don't know whether this is going to be a winner or not. It was nominated, so it's definitely a top-rated game and a greatly designed game. If you've played worker placement games before, that's what this game is. If you've played them, you will be able to jump right in on this game. There's very few rules. It's just worker placement. This plays 2 to 4 players, and it plays in about an hour to an hour and a half. It says 10 years and up. Here's the setup. Here's the board right here. Everything has names to it. But I'm going to try to lead you through what everything is. I've got it set up for 4 players. We've got blue, red, yellow, and green. And you get 2 of these round tokens. You take one of those tokens and put it on the board on the scoring track, starting at 0 for each player. You are going to shuffle the troll cards and put them there, shuffle the draugr cards, put them there, shuffle the monster cards and put them there. The goal is to get the most glory, and that's by winning battles with these different kinds of creatures. And you are going to shuffle the ruin cards and put them there. You're going to shuffle the destiny cards and put them there, shuffle the journey cards and put them there, shuffle the merchant ship and put them there. Okay, all of those cards they're in the quick reference here, so they tell you what these cards are, what the backs look like. On the other side of the quick reference, it shows you the iconography of the different symbols. All these little circles means worker placement, so you put one of your meeples on there if you want that space. Once you get that space, nobody else gets that space. The only exception to that is the hunting grounds right here, where everybody can get that if they want to. There's very few places that the number of players makes a difference. The market stall right here, these spaces here, there's 4 spaces. You'll notice there's 3 meeples on here. That means that space is available if there's 3 players. There's 4 meeples here. That means this 4th space is open if you've got 4 players. And the way you do this is you put 1 military or 1 economic random tile flipped up on the board if you've got 2 players. If you have 3 players, you have 1 more random economic one up, and if you have 4 players, you have 1 more military one up. And so you're going to, even though there's 8 of these tiles, you're going to start with fewer than that, and then those just stay out for the whole game and become available. So that's one way of each game being a little bit different. The long ships, you'll notice here's the public long ships, here's the private long ships. 2 different ones that are the same, they're the same kind, the Skyd. One of them has 4 meeples on it, so that means this one's available for 4 or more players. So 2 players, you got 2 of them, 3 players, you got 3, 4, you got 4 private long ships. And then if you're playing a 2-player game, you're going to start with 4 meeples each, and then plus 1 in the middle. With 3 or 4 players, you're only going to start with 3 meeples off to the side plus 1 in the middle. Okay, so we have that all set up. You've got the starting tracker there. You've got 8 rounds in the game, so that keeps track of which round you're on. Whoever has won the glory in battle, the most recent, gets the starting player token. And so whoever gets that, the person to the right of that player gets to draw a Viking leaderboard. And so there's 5 of those available. And it tells you each of them has some special ability. So you look at it and it tells you what that ability of that Viking leader can do. And so the person to the right of the start player takes one, and then the next person, and the next person, and finally the start player gets the last choice between the last 2. And you'll notice here that on one side it just tells you what the special ability is, on the other side, it shows you that you can only have 8 die. So these are your Viking warriors. These are the dice that you use to battle with. Those are called Viking warriors. And so you're limited to 8 total of those at any time during the game. So we will just pass one of these out to each player. You'll notice also, besides this quick reference, there's a quick reference up here, and this is what happens at the beginning of each turn. It's right there on your board. So you go through and follow that order. You'll notice that you have different banners up here on each space. There's brown ones, and brown ones happen instantly. So as soon as you put a meeple on there to do that item, you do it immediately. You've got blue ones, which those happen immediately. The only difference between those and the brown ones are they accumulate items. So when you put something out there, and nobody takes it for a round, it will accumulate more and more. It doesn't empty out and then reset. You can accumulate, in this case, warrior dice here, or food on this one, or that kind of thing. The red ones are combat die. So you actually put a meeple on there, and then when it becomes time to combat or put dice on there, then you do that also. So the red ones are combat. The brown, the long ships are brown and red. So in other words, when you put your meeple on there, something happens usually immediately, and then it also there's also combat involved. You assign your workers. We first have to go through the turn setup at the beginning of the turn, and so what you do is it shows a draugr card. So the draugrs, actually 2 of those get flipped up. You can fight either one of those, and it shows a troll card, or a monster card is next. So you flip up monster cards here. And these are monsters that you fight at sea. Now this one has a 4 meeples on it, so that's only in play if there's 4 players. Well, you have 4 of them. Okay, and then it shows the troll card here, so the troll card gets flipped up. And then it shows each of these other ones. So you've got a sage house here. You don't flip that one over. This one here, since there's no space there for it, this is the journey card. Those go face down in front of every monster. So you do not get to see them. Here is the merchant ship, and so one of those goes face up. And you have the ruins card, and you have 2 of those that go face up. There's 2 spaces there. So as a general principle, if there's a space that's there for a card next to the deck, you flip it up. If there's not, you don't. Then you stock board locations. These red ones are food, and the brown ones are wood. Well, the smokehouse gets a food every round. You'll notice it's got the 3 different colored die, the black, the red, and the white. The white is a swordsman. The red is a spearman. And the black is an axeman. And all of those are considered Viking warriors. Those are the dice you're going to take into battle with you, and they all have differences to them. The axe has no defense whatsoever. There's only 2 blank sides. You've got 2 sides with a single axe, 2 sides with a double axe. The red one has 2 blank sides, and you've got 2 single spear and 1 double spear and 1 shield. So it's got a little bit of defense. The swordsman has 3 blank sides. It's got 1 single, 1 double, and a shield. So they all have a little bit different play to them. Obviously the white one seems a little bit weaker, except for one of these warriors here. Says hit results on the white die there, the spear, do 1 additional damage. So the single would do 2 and the double would do 3. So if you have Vanhild, you might want the white ones more than the other ones. I just got done stocking the board locations. Then we do our gameplay. And the gameplay is when we assign workers. So the first player is going to go, and I'm going to I don't know. I'm going to fight the troll. Anything that's got this circle can take a meeple. Let me go through and talk about each one of these. Here's a troll. Now the troll card, if nobody fights the troll for the turn, for that round, everybody gets a blame token. These are blame tokens. Here's gold. Here's favor. Favor's good. Blame token is bad. It subtracts from your glory at the end of the game, and it escalates tremendously. So if you have 1 or 2, it's not too bad, but you get more, and you get up to 6. Man, it's horrible. You don't want blame tokens. So if nobody fights the troll, everybody gets a blame token. If one person defeats the troll, then he gets rid of a blame token, and he gets to give a blame token to another player. So even if he doesn't have a blame token to get rid of, he can still take one out of the bank and give it to a player. So that's only if the troll's defeated. So if the troll is not defeated, everybody gets a blame token. The draugr, you got 2 different draugrs. Now you'll notice that this one, the troll, gives you glory. That's the gray circle. Gives you glory if you defeat it, and a wood token. So that's how you get wood. The draugr gives you glory and gold. The monsters give you glory, and they also give you favor tokens. And favor tokens let you do a re-roll of the die. Any number of dice that you want to re-roll, you turn in a favor token, and you can re-roll as many dice you want to. So that's good things. The long ships are used to come out here and fight. So when you take a long ship, you'll move it out to whichever monster you want to fight. Now these are on distant shores, the last 2. The first 2 are close. So in other words, the distant ones, you have to have more food on your ship to support taking your warriors out that far. The closer ones are cheaper. Here's the symbols right here. 1 food for every 2 die. 1 food for every 2. This is 1 food for every 1, and 1 food for every 1. Now you'll notice the longships have a capacity written on them, so that is the combined total of food plus warrior dice. Have to be that capacity or less. Same thing with the private longships. So once blue is gone, then green is going to go, and you'll notice here's this. Let me just go through and explain these different things. There's a hunting grounds, and hunting grounds, if you put one on there, at the end of once everybody has put their meeples out, then you assign your Vikings to combat where you want to put your dice, and anybody who has a meeple on the hunting ground, if they haven't assigned all of their dice, then they get to roll those dice and get a food token for every hit on the die. So that's what the hunting ground does. The ruinsmith, you have to pay a wood, and you get to take one of the cards, the face up card, or a face down that you don't know about. So just as an example, here's one that gives you 2 glory. So you'd move up 2 spaces, but you do that at the end of the game, the scoring on it. And discard a journey card you just revealed. Draw and resolve the next one in the deck. So these are journey cards out here. So if you held this off to the side, these are one-time use cards. You hold this off to the side, just face up, and when you come out here and fight, you don't get to see these ahead of time unless you go to the sage's house, which lets you look at one of them. But anyway, you might come in there blind and you flip it over and find out, whoa, man, I don't want to do this. So this one lets you flip it over. It's a one-time use. You get to discard that and draw one blindly off the deck. Maybe it'll be better than the one you had. That's the Ruinsmith. The Sage's House says look at a face-down journey card and draw this card. So it lets you look at a card. Nobody else gets to see it. You put it back down and you get to take one of these cards. And these cards give you bonuses at the end of the game. If you have the most red monsters, if you have the most blue monsters, if you have the most food, if you have the most gold or something, and down in the lower left it gives you how many glory you earn if you meet that qualification. Now there's two numbers, there's a bigger number and a smaller number. The bigger number is if you win that criteria. The second one is if you tie it. So the smaller one is if you tie with somebody else, the bigger one is if you win it outright. The Stave Church lets you pay gold for favor, but it escalates in cost. So it's 1 gold for 1 favor, 3 gold for 2 favor, 6 gold for 3 favor, or 10 gold for 4 favor, and that's the max you can buy is 4 favor. And remember, favor lets you re-roll die. Worker Huts says pay 5, 4, 3, 2 gold, get your additional worker. So the first person that comes in here and claims this has to pay 5, the second person 4, third 3, and fourth 2. And as soon as you put your meeple over there, you pay the amount of gold that it costs, then you get your next meeple and you can use it on the same round that you get it. Jarl's Longhouse says take a spearman die from the supply and you get to take the starting player token. That's the only way the starting player token moves, if somebody takes it. If the starting player does this, then it rotates. But otherwise, the same player keeps going and going and going at the beginning of each turn. Okay? The market says trade a food, a gold, or a wood at 1-for-1 ratio. The swordsmith, you take all the white die that are in here, and remember, blue accumulates, so if nobody takes it this round, another white one will show up next round, another one, until it becomes so valuable somebody will take it. Here, take a red die, take a black die, and take food, and the food accumulates too. So all of these blue ones accumulate. This one says use a gold to get 3 food, and of course that's going to flip each round, so the merchant ship is going to be different each round on what you get out of that. Okay, some of these monsters have weapon restrictions, like this one has a red X over a sword. That means your swordsman, your white die, cannot fight this monster. So if you take white into that, they automatically get discarded because you can't use them. However, you might want to take them on your longship anyway, because some of these cards make you discard warriors or food, and you could use those as your sacrifices before you actually encounter the monster. And you might know that if you've looked at your destiny card and found out, hey, you have to discard a Viking die, but you don't have extras, you might take a white one in with you so that you sacrifice that one before you fight the monster. So there are restrictions on all 3 kinds of dice based on different monsters. It is legal to not assign a monster once you've once you put your meeple on something. So you might have intention to fight the troll, but then once all of the meeples got assigned and you're assigning your Vikings at the end of the round, let's just say I have some, you know, this is what I have. I have these dice here, and it's the end of the round, and I've put a meeple on the troll, and I also have the public longship. Now you'll notice the public longship doesn't even have a cost. The small one, it's capacity 5. The big one has a 1 gold. So it costs you 1 gold to hire this one. It's free to hire this one. These ones over here have a cost. So this one's wood and 2 gold, a wood and 2 gold, a wood and a gold, 2 wood and 2 gold. But they all have a different capacity, and they all give you different glory at the end of the game. So let's say I had put a meeple on the troll and a meeple on this longship to hire it, and I look at my dice and go, man, I don't have enough dice to fight both of those. So I could just say, well, I'm going to assign them all to this one and not put any on that one. That's legal to do. Now, even if you don't put dice on this longship, this flips over and then ends up getting discarded and replaced at the end of the round. All the other ones stay out. So that's a little bit of difference between whether there's a longship there or not. And especially if there is Viking warriors on there, then it's going to flip over and you're going to encounter the card before you attack the monster. Now, you have to take food with you. Remember, I said that before. It's 1 food for every 2 warriors. So let's say I took my 1 food and had 3 dice on there, so a capacity of 4. Now 1 food only pays for 2 dice. So I would immediately, if I had that happen, or if this card flipped up and I lost a food, I would immediately have to lose die down to where I can support the warriors with the food. So you just lose them and they go back to the supply. They don't go back to you. And when you're in battle, you lose those dice permanently. And any food you have on the longship gets discarded permanently. It gets eaten. So it's out of the game. Or it's back in the supply. Combat. Here's how combat works. Once you've got your meeples out there, once you've assigned your Viking warrior die, here's how it works. You roll the die, however many die you have there, and that would not be a very good roll. 2 blanks means I didn't attack very well. So let's do it again, and I've got 1 attack, 1 spear, and so I look at this monster that I'm fighting, and this monster has 2 attack, strength, and 2 defense. So because I only did 1 damage, but it's got 2 defense, it's going to take one of these tokens that shows it's taken a wound, but it does 2 points of damage, so I immediately have to discard 2 die. So I would not defeat that monster, and this wound would come back off because it heals at the end of every round. So that would not be a successful attack. If you have a favor token and you want to use that to re-roll your dice, you can do that, any number, to try to get a better attack. But anyway, if you get 2 wounds, then you're going to defeat the monster, even if he defeats your Viking warriors also. Attacks are simultaneous, so you can kill each other, and you can still defeat the monster, the troll, the draugr. They all attack the same way. And if you do not kill the monster and you still have Viking warrior dice at the end of the attack round, you go into another round. And so it continues until either the monster's dead, or the troll, or the draugr, or you're out of Viking warrior die. Any die that you have left over that you do not lose back to the supply, you put back over on your warrior. So you get to keep them if they survive. Then you get the reward once you've defeated the monster, whether it might be wood or coins there, or your favor token, you're going to take your monster that you defeated and just put it in a stack over here, face down, a stack of enemies that you've defeated, and you get whatever the reward is in the bottom right corner. The glory you score at the end of the game. Then you proceed into cleanup. We've done all of this. We get down to cleanup. It says take back workers, so all the workers out on the board go back to the players. The worker huts don't get taken, obviously, unless you bought them. You discard undefeated trolls, so any troll that was not defeated goes in the discard. You discard undefeated draugrs, go into the discard over here. You discard any revealed journey cards. They go into the discard. The non-revealed ones do not get discarded. You add gold to undefeated monsters. So monsters get more valuable. Any of them that were not attacked because maybe they're too strong, or you saw this card here, the journey card, and you don't want to go after it, they become more valuable, and the gold accumulates at the end of every round, remember? So they can have more and more gold on them, just like these can have more and more dice out here. So then you check for the game end. So the game ends at the end of the 8th round. If that doesn't happen, then you advance the marker 1 space, and now you're in the 2nd round. Okay, so you're in the 2nd round, you start back up here, and you flip cards again for all of these. Don't flip that one over. You are going to, any of these cards that got, if one of those cards got taken, you're going to flip a new one of those over. You are going to put a new die on each of these spaces. You're going to put another food out. You're going to replace the merchant ship with a new merchant ship. And now we're ready for round 2. And the starting player, if the starting player did not change, the starting player is the same person, and he puts his worker out and begins the next round. So the way scoring works in this game is you look at your destiny cards, which are these cards here, and they usually, this one here says have the most gold at the end of the game. And if I have the most gold, I get 5 glory, so I'm going to take my token, move it up 5 spaces if I've got the most. If I'm tied for most, then I get 2, and this does not affect anybody else. Nobody else gets glory from this. This is just my destiny card. So what they suggest is they do one person at a time to do everything, instead of trying to get everybody to work at the same time on each thing, is to do one person at a time, preferably the person that's in the lowest glory. So you do the destiny cards, then a set of enemies is a red, blue, and yellow enemy. Here's a red, here's a blue, and then there's yellow ones in here, yellow ones in here. If you have a set of all 3, you get 5 bonus glory. Trolls do not count. Trolls are gray. You do not get additional glory for those for having a set. And so for every set of 3, you get 5 glory. You look at your ruin cards here, and those ruin cards will give you glory. It shows you a glory on each one of them, how much you get. And so you're going to score the ruins cards. You're going to score your long ships. The long ships give you glory also. The public ones do not, but the ones that you purchase do. You're going to count favor, and any leftover favor tokens you have not used are worth 2 glory per favor token. Coins are worth 1 glory for every 3 tokens, for every 3 coins. Blame, now here's the tough one. blame. You get -1 for a blame token. You get -3 for 2 blame tokens. You get -6 for 3 blame tokens. You get -10 for 4 blame tokens, -15 for 5 blame tokens, and -21 if you've got 6 blame tokens. So don't get the 6. Do not get the 6. -21 glory. Now so you're scoring one person, the next person, next person. So once everybody is scored, then you look to see who's the winner, who has the most glory. And if there's a tie, then you just count the number of enemies defeated, and who has the most enemies defeated would be the winner. So that's how you play Champions of Midgard, put out by Gray Fox Games, designed by old Steinus. Make sure you tune into all of our how to play videos here at the Board Game Network.